Okay, so we're going to look at how to balance equations. If you look at your target tracker, we're going to start right here below the warm-up section. And the first thing we have to do is we need to do an atoms inventory. So we're going to look at how many of each atom there is here. So on the left side, how many C's are there? There's just one C. And how many H's? There's four H's. Pardon my bad writing here. How many O's? There's two O's. Okay, then we do the same thing on the right side of the equation. So what's happening over here and then what's happening over here are different. So we separate at the arrow. Okay, so how many C's are over here? I also just have one C. And how many H's? Well, I've got two H's. And how many O's? I've got this and this. So I've got one here plus two more there. That tells me I have three O's. Okay. So what I need to do then is actually balance this equation so that what I have on the left matches what I have on the right, which it doesn't. I have one C and one C, but look, I've got two H's on the left and four H's on the left and two on the right, two O's on the right, three O's on the left. So what I have to do is I have to make changes to the chemical equation in the form of coefficients. And coefficients are numbers that come before the actual equation. Okay, so what number could I put in these blanks that would change it so that my equation was balanced? So when I'm looking, I've got four. Let's just start. C's are good so far, so let's leave those alone. I've got four H's on the left, but only two on the right. So if I put a 2 right here in front of H2O, I'm doubling everything. Watch how this works. 2 times H2, I no longer just have 2, I doubled that. 2 times 2 is 4, right? And you're doing this on your paper along with me. But it also changed my number of O's, because 2 times 1 O is 2, plus these 2 O's that I had here would mean that I go to 4 O's. Okay, so 1 and 1 is good, 4 and 4 is good, but 2 O's on the left where I have 4 on the right. So I need to double the number of O's. So here where I see the O's, I'm going to put a 2 in front of there. 2 times 2, that changes this to 4. And then I just do a quick check. 1C, 1C, 4 H's, 4 H's, 4 O's, 4 O's. It's balanced. I'm done. So I just needed to make a change here. And I needed to make a change here. Now these ones I didn't need to make any changes to, so I tend to just put a 1 there in front of them just as a space filler, so I know that I didn't forget to do something. But technically you could leave them blank and that would be okay. So now let's try the next equation. Again, we're going to do our atoms inventory. So I've got P4 plus O2 gives me P4O10. So I'm just going to look over here on the left side. How many P's do I have? I have 4. Sorry, my computer's being funky. 4. All right, how many O's do I have? 2. Over here, how many P's do I have? 4. How many O's do I have? 10. Okay. So the P's look good on both sides, 4 and 4, but the O's are not so good. I got 2 O's over here on the left, 10 on the right. So in order to have on the left-hand side over here, in order to have 10 O's, I need to multiply this by 5. Remember, coefficients multiply the number. So I'm going to put a 5 in front of here. 5 times O2. So 5 times 2 is going to change from having 2 O's to 10 O's. So look, 4 P's here, 4 P's here, 10 O's here, 10 O's here. That means that one small change balanced my equation, and like I said, I like to just put 1's as placeholders in front of these. So 1P4, 5O2, 1P4O10. That equation is balanced. Let's keep going. All right, the next one, CO2 plus H2O yields C6H12O6 plus O2. This is the equation for photosynthesis. So what we need to do here, and the first couple I put out the letters for you for the element symbols, but you're not going to usually have that on a quiz or a test, so we got to practice doing that ourselves. So all I have to do is list the different element symbols I have. I have a C, I have an O, and I have an H. Notice I'm not writing the O twice, just like when we practiced doing this back when we learned about atoms. We don't have to write the same element more than once. But I need to write it again on this side because I've also got C. You can see I have C, H, and O here. And what I tend to do is write them in the same order so that it's easy to just do a cross comparison. So I know I have C, O, and H on both sides. And that's what we should see. We should have the same elements on the left and the right. It's just that the numbers usually come up different. So let's come back over here to the left side and count up how many we have. How many C's do we have? 1. How many O's do we have? 2 at the CO2 and 1 at the H2O, so 2 plus 1 equals 3. And how many H's do we have? 2 in the H2O. Then over on this side, on the right side, we have 6 C's. We have 6 O's plus these 2 O's, which would equal 8 O's. And we have 12 hydrogens, 12 H's. So clearly I'm not balanced. What I usually do here is I start at the top and work my way down. So the C's, I need 6 on the left. I've only got 1, so I'm just going to try putting a coefficient of 6 here in front of the CO2. And when I do that, I'm going to have to update my inventory. So now I don't have 1 C, I have 6. But look, it also changed my number of O's. I have 12 because 6 times 2 plus the 1 over here. I'm now up to 13 O's. Okay. Now my O's are off, and so are my H's. And since O's are in 2 places on the left-hand side, I'm actually going to skip the O's and move to the H's because I think that might work something out for me. So watch what I do here. I've got 12 H's over here on the left, right, but I've only got 2 on the left, so I'm going to put a 6 in front of the H2O as well. And when I do that, 6 times 2 H's, I get 12. And 6 times O, I've got 6 O's, plus the 12 that I had over here, so I'm updating my O's yet again to be 18. Now, I come back over here. I've got 18 O's on the left-hand side. Now I'm short on O's over here. I've only got 8. Keep in mind, there are O's in 2 places. I've got 6 O's here and I've got 2 O's here. I don't want to put anything in the front of the C6H12O6 because that's going to change my number of C's and my number of H's, and they're good right now. So I only want to change the number of O's. So I'm going to work over here at the O2. So I've got 6. In order to get 18, I need to have 12 more. So in order to get 12 out of this guy here, I'm going to put a 6 in front of it. Because remember, 6 times 2 equals 12. So now 6 times 2 is 12, plus this 6 here is 18. And now I can check that I'm balanced. 6 C's, 6 C's. 18 O's, 18 O's. 12 H's, 12 H's. And I'm just going to put a 1 right here to keep the place. So that one was a little bit harder. That one took a little bit more work and some double checking. That's about as hard as it would get on a quiz or a test. I wouldn't make something that's any really harder than that. Doesn't mean that there aren't harder equations to balance, and I might even give you a few practice ones to try on, but when I write a quiz or a test where you have to balance one, it wouldn't be any harder than that. So just keep that in mind. All right, let's do this last one together. On the bottom, we have, this was what we did in the lab with the hydrogen peroxide, the H2O2, and the yeast caused us to make water and oxygen gas. Okay, so we have H and we have O, and we have H and O on this side. Ho ho. All right, how many H's? Let's go on the left side. How many H's? 2. How many O's? 2. How many H's on this side? 2. How many O's? Well, this time there's 3 because I have 1 here and 2 here. 1 plus 2 equals 3. So I'm going to have to make a change to my number of O's. Let's look at what they have in common. The commonality between 2 and 3 is probably going to be 6, okay? But I've got O's in 2 different places, so watch what I'm going to do here. I know this is going to seem a little off, a little tricky to you, but since I have O's in 2 places here, 1 here and 2 there, I don't want to try to make 6. I want to make an even number. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to put a 2 in front of the H2O. Okay. When I do that, yes, it changes my number of H's to 4, but it also changes my number of O's to 4, because I have 2 O's with the H2O, right? 2 times 1 plus these 2. 2 plus 2 is 4. And then I can just put a simple 2 in front of this H2O2, and again I get 4 and 4 because I just doubled. 2 times 2 H's, 2 times 2 O's. And I'm balanced. I just put a 1 there as a place saver. So that is how you balance equations. If you look on the back side of your target tracker, you'll notice that there are several more practice items. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and put up some answers for you for some of these. And let you guys go ahead and do the practice on your own. So I want you to try them on your own, but I'm going to post the actual answers to these in the hyperdoc that you're accessing this video from. So try to do these, what are there, 10? Try to do these 10 on your own, and then go into the next task where it says the answer key to your target tracker, and you can pull it up and look, make corrections. Guys, this is just kind of, I mean, obviously there's a little bit of math to it because we're playing with numbers, we're making changes. It's really just multiplication and addition. We're multiplying coefficients and putting numbers in front of these things that would change the total numbers, and we're making addition of the numbers. One suggestion, let me make one suggestion to you while I have your attention, is when you're doing these problems, take your pen and just draw a line through the arrow that's separating the reactants from the products. Okay, so I kind of already did that for you on the front side, but just go through and draw a line through the arrow, because you're going to want to separate these when you're doing your balancing, because remember, we have to look at each side as its own separate thing. So good luck. There's going to be more practice that you're going to do, and eventually you'll have a quiz on this, but you're not going to have a quiz on this like next class. We'll keep practicing this, and when I'm back, I'll help you answer any questions that you might have. By the way, many of these are very hard. Okay, many of these are a little bit more challenging, so this is just a little bit of practice for you. There's no expectation that you can ace this right now. What you're going to do on your hyperdoc in later tasks is you're actually going to go in and watch or do some practice online where it gives you immediate feedback, and it's a little bit easier. I'll show you that later. So good luck, and keep practicing and behave.